Saudi Arabia is in discussions with China to price some of its oil sales in yuan. Let's continue with our emerging action conversation here with Bloomberg Sherian, co-anchor of Bloomberg Daybreak Asia. And Sherian, this is primarily oil that they're going to buy from Saudi Arabia. Is going to China. This is not necessarily something new. We know that they've been trying to sort of push this, but they haven't necessarily been successful in striking a deal.
For about 6 years, we've had these conversations. It looks like the debate is now being ramped up. We know that China buys about 25% of oil exports from Saudi Arabia, so that would be a big chunk of the sales, but the report also not indicating whether this would actually happen. And you have now currency analysts coming out and saying, you know what, this seems to be a little bit of a bluff. We know that Saudi Arabia does not have the best relationship with the Biden administration at the moment, and we know that the Saudi riyal is pegged to the US dollar, so what happens if the US dollar currency actually weakens? That will have repercussions for their kingdom as well. We have seen, of course, given the news, the bump in the yuan, which had already weakened given the broader sell-off in Chinese assets that we saw, but I guess it's the idea right now that if you look at history, could this happen? Well, yeah, we have seen other dominant currencies in the past, right? What the Dutch currency in the 17th, 18th century, the Spanish dollar, then you had sterling, then you have the US dollar. It could happen. It seems that the conversations are there, but perhaps not yet.
Yeah, it took like world wars for that.
Right, World War I, then we had Bretton Woods in 1944, so be careful with that comment, Romaine. You know, Sherry, I think what's interesting, I remember, was it a year or two ago, Goldman Sachs had a report out saying that maybe not 5 years from now, not 10 years from now, but 30 years from now, we could be talking about the yuan being the currency of last resort. Now, again, that's a long time off, and you talk about the restrictions on the currency, but the conversations are there.
That is a big point, isn't it? Because of this war and the sanctions against Russia, U.S. dollar holdings have become a key issue, and some nations are looking for alternatives to the U.S. dollar-based financial markets, right? And we have seen, of course, the yuan becoming more officially one of the world reserve currencies in 2016, with the IMF putting the yuan as one of those underlying currencies for its SDR, the special drawing rights. We have seen developments with iron ore futures also being priced in yuan. We have seen that chart earlier showing this immense resilience in the yuan against trades weighted basket. So that conversation is there, but as you mentioned, capital controls, how tightly it's managed by officials, it's still a hindrance.
Yeah, and I think.
All right, Shalom. This is Har One by Yasha Allah of the Lions Den Camp. I want to say Kal Halayim La Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai by Hashem Harakar Kodash Ma'amaf. Double honor to the elder apostles of GMS and the elders. Shalom to you, Akim and Akwatim and children that believe in sincerity and truth around the four corners of the earth. This lesson here is going to be about this coming dollar crash. All right, so let's start off with Habakkuk chapter 2. And let's start from 3. All right. Now it says, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time." What's a vision? A prophecy. All right. But at the end it shall speak. All right. So that word speak is basically what it says here. Pawak. All right. It means to puff, to blow with breath, air, to fan, to utter, to kindle, to scoff, basically to excite. Now it says here, to cause, to exhale. So basically, what they're being held back, like the prophecies, you know, like what you'll call. It says it's gonna be as a breach ready to fall, and when the destruction falls upon this place, it's gonna happen in its perfection. So it's being built up. And at some point, these prophecies are going to be released upon the earth, all right? Now, when we're witnessing part of it, you see it building up. That's why you hear that lady, the woman that was just talking. She said, yeah, with Saudi Arabia and China, their trade deal with the oil, there's talks about that. And, you know, same thing with Russia and these other nations, probably OPEC nations like Iran, but but so yeah, man. It says here at the end they shall be basically what? The kindled. All right. So the Lord said, "Well, what will I if it already be kindled?" So what do you think His will is? When He returns, if He already kindled the destruction on this earth, got the fire started a little bit, and so that lets you know His intention is to destroy this place, Babylon. It says, and they shall speak and not lie, man. That's right, because the Lord's words are faithful and true. He says, words shall not come back void. So is what they're going to happen, man. It's basically going to happen, all right? Matter of fact, let me see this. Right, it says what? They shall speak, basically be released and not disappoint and not fail, okay? And not prove to be a liar. Man, the Lord's going to be proven to be true, faithful and true, man. In His words, actions, and promises and deeds, and in His judgment. It says here, though it tarry, wait for it. All right, that's why they're like, yeah, this talks about it, but there's no guarantee. No, it's going to happen. It's going to happen in 2030. That's what they're hoping for. It's going to happen, sooner than that, most likely. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry, all right? Behold, so now let's get, behold, his soul, which is lifted up in him, lifted up is not upright in him, right? Because Esau, especially the elites over here in America, that run America, which is called Babylon, their spirit that's lifted up in pride is only done because of the riches that they've gotten and the slavery that they put on the backs of the children of Israel. All right, and the robbing, stealing, and killing they've done in the world, and now they believe their own lie that this place is a nation. It's really a corporation, a United States, where you have a president just like any other business, a manager. All right, but there's an owner, and that owner is Europe, all right, the EU, the EU nations. I mean. So it said, behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him. So he's wicked and deceiving his own self. That's Obadiah chapter 1. The pride of thine heart have deceived thee. But the just shall live by faith. And that's Jacob, all right, the elect of Israel, of Jacob. They're going to what? Live by faith. All right, so that's the difference right there. That's Jacob and Esau right there. Esau is lifted up in pride and through killing with the sword, robbing, stealing, and killing, and gaining the fatness of the earth with the sword, according to his blessing. But Jacob, their blessing is going to be what? Through faith. Big difference. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, all right, through his business, their philosophies, which we call democracy, right? That's what they use. We want to bring a democracy to this place. Even their Christianity is a part of that. But basically, they're witchcraft-based deals that they make, their business. All right, he is a proud man. All right, and that dollar is part of that witchcraft, that deception, that abomination. That the Lord said, an unjust balance is an abomination to the Lord. All right, unjust weights, and that's what the dollar is. It's a measure or a weight or a measure of debt. It was established to be a measure of debt, and that's what it is. Every dollar that's produced is a representation of debt. All right, and now the biggest holder of those debt notes are Russia, China, and other countries. And now on top of that, all Russia has to do is dump all their dollars. They basically got America right where they want them. And so you had in 1973, after the Nixon shock in 1971, Saudi Arabia basically said they're not dealing with any nations that deal with Israel, just like Russia's doing today. They said any nations that want to that deal with Israel, they can't buy oil from Saudi Arabia, if I'm not mistaken. And next thing you know, America, it was a great what do you call that, man? Basically everybody, the oil prices shot through the roof, just like today. All right, so so next thing you know, America made a deal with Nixon. All right, I forgot the guy name that they sent over there. Anyway, it'll come back to me. But if I want to pull it up, I can. But they sent this. I forgot who it was that went over there and made this deal, man. I can't remember his name. Right, I see his image in my mind, but I can't think of his name. All right. But anyway, they sent him over there one of these Edomites from America, and he set up this deal called the OPEC deal. All right, the oil petroleum exporting countries, and they made a deal with a guy named King Faisal of Saudi Arabia that they were going to give them weapons and and artillery in trade for oil. And then they went even further to say, you know what, we're going to call all the world nations, if they want to trade and buy oil from the oil producing countries, they got to buy it in dollars. And at the Saudi Arabia, all those so-called Middle Eastern countries, oil petroleum exporting countries, OPEC nations, they all follow suit. They say, yo, we need arms, we need weapons. We don't want Saudi Arabia to just have them. So to set the balance, they went into the deal as well with America, causing all the world to buy petrol and petroleum in dollars. So they had to go buy dollars and keep them on reserve. So that's how Russia became one of the biggest holders in dollars, so they can buy oil. So now they're telling nations, friendly nations, that they're the only ones that can buy oil in dollars. So that means all these other nations that Russia considers enemies, they're going to force all them nations to buy oil from Russia in dollars. I mean, in rubles. So what's that? That's the same thing that happened with Gaddafi in Libya. Same thing that happened with, what's his name, Saddam Hussein of Iraq. They both wanted to go back to the gold standard, all right, before 1971. So now, since the Nixon shock in 1971, when they basically broke the Bretton Woods agreement, backing the dollar by gold, right? They basically turned on the Bretton Woods agreement, man. And now, so now they took it, they depegged it from gold, and they pegged it to the dollar. All right. So they depegged it from gold, and they pegged it to the dollar. From gold, and they pegged, so like I'm doing some things in the background. They depegged it from gold, and they pegged it to the petro. So that's why you have something called the petrodollar, all right? And the petrodollar is what gives America its power right now. That dollar is a form of witchcraft, man, deception. So now all those nations are going to follow suit. Look at China now. China want to do the same thing. They're trying to go to Saudi Arabia now, and Saudi Arabia is agreeing. They're like, yo, China like, yo, these are our enemies. America's our enemy. Why do we have to keep buying dollars from them to get oil from you, Saudi Arabia? Saudi Arabia like, you know what? That does make sense. So now they're starting to say, you know what? We're going to start taking the Yuan, which is a stronger currency than the dollar, and they're gonna start pulling away from using dollars. And all the nations are gonna start peeling away. They even have a plan in place to where all those OPEC nations, they're gonna pull out of the deal at the same time. And ever since that new king prince got into power, the king, the dad is not really ruling. He's just holding that power seat. But the son, the prince, he's running things. All right, he's handling all the money and the choices and the innovations. And one of those innovations that this prince over there, so-called prince, this Ishmaelite prince over there, he want to switch from the dollar, right, to blockchain. All right, so that way they can do deals with more countries. All right, so it's happening. It's called what? What's the definition of a dollar crash? Let's get it. All right, so basically a dollar crash or collapse is when all those other countries' currency, especially in the special drawing rights basket of currencies, all right, loses value compared to those currencies or around the world, or its purchasing power. And that can mainly happen through all the nations dumping their dollars, or a situation where they all buy oil in a different currency. That's it. That's nothing. That means America is done. Their currency is done. Their purchasing power is done. You go to the store, they won't be able to take it. If they do take it, they won't be able to take it to a bank. So what are they going to do? They're going to switch over to an electronic system that they already got in place called blockchain. And sleepy Joe Biden or Trump, whoever's going to be in power, they're going to switch over to that system, and they're going to cause everybody to get Revelation 13:16. That are set up to get it, the MOTB. And they're going to say, hey, man, you can switch over to this system, and we'll give you a certain level of credit, or we'll give you $1,000 in PPP loans, because there's no food and nothing to buy, no money to, the dollar is weaker, so we'll give you a boost on your currency or something like that if you switch over to this or get this in you, so on and so on. So it's right here, man. It's right everything is at the door. The prophecies are speaking, and all that has to happen is, like Mike Tyson said, sign the contract, big boy. Sign the contract. All China got to do is sign the contract with Saudi Arabia, and America's done. Russia too. If Russia not playing. See, Russia was the only one besides Gaddafi of Libya and what's his name? Iraq, Saddam Hussein. They were the main two leaders over in those nations, besides Putin, that wanted to separate from the dollar. They've been trying to do that ever since the 1970s. They've been trying to separate from the dollar. Ever since America did something with Nixon called the Nixon shock. That's what established the SDR basket of currencies with the International Monetary Fund. All right. So yeah, man, this is it. They're not really putting it all over the news, but the dollar crash is upon America. All right. So we're going to hear about it within these next few weeks. And you got food shortages. So he said famine, that all comes with it. So it says what? For the vision is yet for an appointed time, right? So this is that appointed time. And it's speaking, they're being released upon the earth. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. Neither keepeth at home, right? What was it called? Operation Desert Storm. They went over there to the Middle East, and ever since then, they've been doing something called occupying, and that's why Iran trying to kick America out of those places. They want them to deoccupy the so-called Middle East. All right, so America's army has been sent all over. They got bases everywhere. Neither keepeth at home. They always out in the foreign countries dealing with meddling in somebody else's affairs. All right, so they can like a tick or got his tentacles spread out the whole earth, draining the world of its resources and these nations of their wealth. All right. So it says neither keepeth at home who enlargeth his desires as hell, man. So their desires, all right, they grow fat in riches by the hell that they bring upon the people of the earth. That's what Esau does, and that's what America has done, and is as death, man. So they like death and cannot be satisfied. Just like the grave is always open, looking for more. That's Esau. All right, wicked. That's what he is. But gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. And they didn't do that just by America being a melting pot. They did that by the dollar, all right? Forcing people to do business with them through their philosophy, through their wine. But it says this, shall not all these take up a parable against him? All right? So what's that? What's a parable? It's basically a taunting proverb. And that's what they're doing. They're taunting America. A pithy maxim, a simile. All right? So it says here, take up a parable against them. And what's that? The parables have been spoken against this place. And they're going to say the same thing that the parables are saying. That's why you cut on the news and you'll hear it, the prophecy speaking from the news reporter or from Putin. He'll say stuff from the scriptures, or I had a vision. He read the scriptures in Job, where, the dream of the night, the Lord opened up the ear. And so, their intentions is to destroy America. China, what Iran saying, death to America, So everything, the parables are being picked up by these nations as well. And a taunting proverb, man, against them, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. And that's what we're hearing. All right. So America has increased in the riches, and the Edomites, they have increased in that which is not theirs. That makes them a what? Thief. And the dollar is a means of deception. All right. They're going to say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, man. They're increasing in power and rushing them like, nah, we want the power. This is not your land, Ukraine. Taiwan is not yours. South Korea is not yours, And to him that ladeth himself, it said, how long, And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay, and that thick clay is what? It's basically heavy debt, all right? So America has laden itself with heavy debt. That's why you have they had to keep moving the debt ceiling. And you have the debt clock that keeps going up in the trillions. And it'll never be paid back. It's called a default. All right. And then what they're gonna do is translate that debt over to the blockchain. But something pledged, pawn goods, man. Pawn goods means something you got to pay back, and America's not gonna pay it back. And not even that. Not only that, these nations are gonna keep everything that they gotten from America. That they're supposed to pay back. They're not gonna pay them back. All right. Instead, they're gonna send those dollars back. They're gonna say, "Nah, we don't want it. We ain't giving you no more resources for it. If we say we'll give you this for dollars, we done with that. And we're gonna take your dollars. And when them dollars come back to America, man, that's super hyperinflation. That's super devaluation. There's like no power at all. Worse than the Weimar Republic in Zimbabwe. All right, and now they starting that process uh, by saying that certain nations can only buy oil from Russia in dollars, and they're not receiving dollars for oil from the enemy nations unless they buy it in rubles. And now China and Saudi Arabia are in talks to buy oil from Saudi Arabia in Yuan. So all the other nations are going to do the same thing to pull away from America. They're going to see the power that they can gain from that, from everybody else's currencies increasing and through the blockchain, and, pulling away from the sanctions of America. So weight of pledges, basically heavy debt. All right, that's what it says, heavy debts. So America has laden itself with thick clay of debt in every direction. All right. Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee? And that's what they're doing. They're taking a strike, all right, to give interest, to lend for interest or usury, to give interest, man, right, to pay. So they're gonna force America to pay up, to oppress with interest on a loan. So to bite America means what? Pay up what you owe, and not only that, you owe more. All that debt that's been accumulated and the interest, they gotta pay it. China gonna say that. Russia gonna say that. The EU gonna say that. Anybody that's holding debt of America, because that's what they do. If the debt is in the trillions, and the Feds or Europe owns the debt, they'll sell it, portions of it, like stock to different nations. So different nations become the holder of America's debt, just like collection agencies. And when they come to collect, they're gonna take what? Land, you know. Instead of all that, they don't want it. They're gonna say, you know what? Let's just cut it off. Everything that we got from America, let's just keep it, and let's just shut the deals down with America. Send their dollars back to them, and destroy it. All right. So to strike with a sting as a serpent, all they gotta do is dump the dollars. Figuratively, to oppress with interest on a loan. All right. So this place is being oppressed by these nations. Okay, so even the EU that established America, because Scripture say that in Revelations that those elites going to cause America to be stripped of its flesh and burned with fire. All right, so it's going to be stripped of all its power and resources and wealth, and it's going to be burned with fire. And ultimately, in the background, they're going to realize, or not, that it's been the Illuminati, Esau, that has been manipulating this from behind the scenes. All right, but really, Yahweh Shem Shai is controlling everything. All right, shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee? See that? They're going to want that interest from them loans. And awake that shall vex thee. All right, so they're going to all of a sudden wake up like Russia. What was Russia doing? Hibernating. They call Russia the bear. So all these nations are waking up saying, whoa, hold on. Thou become as weak as we, as us. It said they're going to vex America, meaning what? To shake off, to agitate, to tremble, quiver, quake, be in terror, to shake violently, to cause to tremble. All right. So they're not as with fear. All right. So they're not going to just say, hey, man, we're cutting off the deals as we're seeing right now. They're cutting off the treaties. They're cutting off their deals, their financial deals and all that. They're decoupling from America, becoming enemies, not just allies or friends. So now, after that, they're going to what? They're going to cause America to shake in terror, man. And that's what the Most High ordered. All right? And these nations are going to do that. It says what? And thou shalt be for booties unto them. What's that? All right, booties mean what? Plunder or spoil. So they're gonna be able to take what they want. Anything that they want, any resources around the world that American owns, they're gonna take that. Anything that's in this place, they're gonna take it. Any uh, deals that they made with those nations, and they're supposed to get the return from it, they're not gonna get it, and they're gonna dump them dollars back on America and pull out of the petrodollar deal. All right, which is gonna cause America to tremble and fear. Man, it's about to happen. You know, the string has already been pulled on the ball of yarn. You got a little bit more pulling to do with Saudi Arabia and China, and that's it. You got a full head-on dollar crash. All right. Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them, be for the taking, because thou hast spoiled many nations. All right, for booties, meaning taking all their riches. All right, spoiled them. Look at that word, spoiled. Because thou hast plundered many nations, right? They've spoiled and plundered all kind of nations through war, you know, through their wine, which would be their philosophies, their business, through their dollar. It says what? Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee. Because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, and of the city, and of all that dwell therein. So not just what they're doing currently, but how America was founded. All right, it was founded upon slavery. All right, robbing, stealing, and killing, the same thing they've been doing today to these nations. So the Lord is causing these nations to return that favor, what they've done to the children of Israel in this land, and also what they're doing to these nations. Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. And that's what America has done. All right, these American Edomites, they've coveted an evil covetousness to their house. All right, by spoiling the nations, by all right, it says what? To cut off. They cut off the children of Israel. All right, gain. It says what? Gain by unrighteous violence. And that's what this place has done. They've gained all their riches and wealth in this place by the violence that they've done all over the world. It's like, matter of fact, I'm gonna keep reading. It says, thou, right? They have coveted, they gain an evil gain, man. So everything in America has been gotten by evil gain, you know, through deception, right? Let me get that. All right. It's Sirach 10:8. Because of unrighteous dealings and injuries and riches gotten by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. All right. And why is earth and ashes proud? You know, because the Most High created them to be that way. So he can what? He created the wicked for the day of destruction, for the evil day, so that they can be the bad guys. All right. You're going to have good guys and bad guys. The Most High is the author. Yahweh Shema Shai. There is not a more wicked thing than a covetous man, for such an one setteth his own soul to sale, because while he liveth, he casteth away his bowels, man. And that's what America has done. That's what these Edomites have done. Is they sell their own soul. You know, look at Esau and Jacob. He was really selling. He sold his birthright for pottage, right? And that shows the desperation of what Esau is willing to do for power, all right, to survive. Thou shalt consult. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people. That's what it means to covet. All right, and not only that, they cut off the children of Israel from being a nation. Said, let us cut them off from being a nation. So they came all together and worked together to destroy the remembrance of us from off the earth. But the Most High said, nah, I'm gonna bring you into remembrance through his spirit, through Yahweh's spirit of truth. All right. For the stone shall cry out of the wall, and the beam out of the timber shall answer it. All right. So what does that mean? That means everything that was built up in this place, all the riches, shall be a witness against it. All right. All the wealth, all the slavery, everything that was built here on the backs of slaves, all the bloodshed. Woe to him that buildeth a town. That's the next verse. All the northern tribes that were slaughtered over here in America, all the monuments they got, everything, all the witchcraft and symbols that they have here, all the wealth that they've taken from other nations. And it shows, and you look around the world, a lot of the countries are third world countries. All right. So what does that mean? That means it's all going to be a witness. So, it's like, imagine that, the thief getting caught with the goods in his hand. He say, yo, who stole all the damn, the gold? And you see him with the gold. He's like, not me. That way it's going to be a witness against him. Basically, if you build a house with everything you stole, he said, what? The stone shall cry out of the wall, and the beam of the timber shall answer it, man. So everything here is going to be a witness, even the slaves. All right, that's caught in the thief's hand. It says, woe to him that buildeth a town with blood. See, all this, everything that's here is still here, and establish a city with iniquity, right? So, behold, is not. Let me get the scripture. I got this thought. This is Ezekiel 24:6. Wherefore, thus saith Yahweh the power, woe to the bloody city. All right, that's America today, Babylon, the great city spoken of in Revelations. To the pot whose scum, and that's what America is, a melting pot, whose scum is therein. So, so that scum is all the wickedness and robbing, stealing, and killing and death and history of this place. Still here. And whose scum is not gone out of it. Bring it out piece by piece. Let no lot fall upon it. For her blood is in the midst of her, man. She set it upon the top of a rock. She poured it not upon the ground to cover it with dust. They ain't even hide it. They teach it in the schools. They got monuments everywhere. Buildings built off the backs of slaves. Museums they've made. What they've done to the Gadites. They got monuments set up for slave plantations. Everything's still here. It gotta be destroyed. It says that it might cause fury to come up to take vengeance. I have set her blood upon the top of a rock, that it should not be covered, man. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh the power, woe to the bloody city. I will even make the powerful fire great. Heap on the wood. See that? Kindle the fire. See, the Lord has kindled that fire. And consume the flesh and spice it well, and let the bones be burned. All right? That's right, man. So, verse 12, she have wearied herself with lies, and her great scum went not forth out of her. Her scum shall be in the fire. So, that's part of it. That's part of this destruction. Not only currently what America is doing, but even the past and how America was built is all going to be a witness to this place. Isaiah 34:11. But the cormorant and the bittern shall possess it, right? Verse 8. For it is the day of Yahweh's vengeance and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion, right? The slavery that we went through with under Esau. And the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch. All right, all the rivers and and the lakes are gonna be turned into pitch, man, like lava. And the dust thereof into brimstone. So there you go with the lava right there. And the land thereof shall become burning pitch, man. So so that's what you call a lake of fire. And it shall not be quenched night nor day. the smoke thereof shall go up forever, means a long time. From generation to generation, it shall lie waste, man. I mean, the Lord's saying He's gonna leave it how it is. Let America burn out. He's not gonna show up and then put the fire out. He's gonna kindle the fire and let it burn out. You know, from generation to generation. So we tell stories about it in the kingdom. All right, none shall pass through it forever and ever. That's sort of like on Lion King. He said, "Don't go over there. That's called the Badlands," or something like that. Like no man's land. Don't go that way. You know, nobody gonna do business here again. No nation's gonna come through here to do business or nothing, man. Travel here, it's gonna be wiped off the earth. All right, Amos 9:8. He says, the eyes of the Lord are upon the sinful kingdom. The focus is America. He has a sacrifice here. And he says what? He's going to destroy it from off the face of the earth. All right. So it says here, it shall not be quenched, day nor night. All right. So now verse 11, but the cormorant, all right, cormorant is like a swamp bird. You know, they can deal with all types of weather changes, you know, and heat, especially down here in Florida. Out here I'm right in my backyard in the swamp. They got a cormorants every morning. They sit out there with their arms, their wings spread, sunbathing. You know, but they're unclean animals that you're not supposed to eat, but you can use them to fish. Look that up, cormorants. Type that in on YouTube. Cormorants fishing. Over in the Philippines or somewhere, they'll tie strings around the neck and then throw it around the neck of the cormorant, throw it into the water, and the cormorant will eat the fish, but the fish won't go into the belly of the cormorant. It'll stop where that rope is tied around the neck of that bird. And then when they pull the bird out of the water, they pull it on the boat and force it to regurgitate up the fish, and they eat the fish. So yeah, cormorants are some cool birds. And it says, and the bittern shall possess it, and the owl, talking about the American owl, the white owl, also in the raven, all right, these are all unclean animals, shall dwell in it, and he shall stretch out upon it the line of confusion and the stones of emptiness. So the Lord going to create this place into being what it is. Like that's, everybody going to know, like that was Babylon. That was the place of confusion of the Lord's judgment. All right. So yeah, man, it says, what? Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and establisheth a city by iniquity. Man, they built the town with blood by destroying the children of Israel, and they establishing it, the city, by iniquity through what? Wickedness. And that goes into their wine, their philosophies again. All right, unjustness, unrighteousness, wrong, violent deeds of injustice, man. All right, that's iniquity. The violent man, Esau, ruling with the sword. So yeah, man. Behold, is it not of Yahweh of hosts that the people shall labor in the very fire, and the people shall weary themselves for very vanity? So everything they're fighting for is vanity. They're pushing for a new world order when ultimately the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, has a new world order that he's setting up. And it's going to be Yahweh Shai ruling upon this earth in righteousness, and the children of Israel being put on top and Esau being put on the bottom. In this place, America, this current ruling system, is going to be destroyed.